All right, fellas. Cheers to another great week.
With special guest, New Berlin, Nicholas Bierenbach.
Big baby in the building. Make some noise. Profits, week 5. Cut the music.
Yes, sir. And we're back. Nicholas Beer, first guest of all time on the podcast. Shot to celebrate at the Jack Fire. How you doing today, Nick?
I'm feeling great. Thank you for having me.
Dude,
Couldn't
we're
be
excited.
More excited.
We're excited to have you. Also excited to have you this week in particular on my part because it's just nice to have another person here to brag about how good of a week we had last week.
Yeah.
Were you following?
Yeah. Well, I followed the Mortis
Yeah, you followed the Mortis.
for the first time.
Yeah.
That was the first time because I'm not a big prop guy. I've mentioned that. But at this point, I'd be foolish not to.
It certainly would be.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Beer's actually one of the guys that texted me on the side, and he's like, for the first time, someone's like, wait, how are you doing this? You know, most people are kind of probably attributing to like, oh, he's just hot right now. He's hot right now. But we're getting to the point, boys, where, 7-0 on Mortises.
People are asking questions, so let me break down the records from last week. I went 1-2 on my picks, bringing me to 12-9 overall, 9-3 on the locks. As we talked about last week, I'm dropping the game picks, sticking to props and the locks only for a little bit here. So looking to focus on that locks number. But then what's really important here, Fanny Profits 3-0 on the pod, 3-0 on the burner at the Big Superior 8.
Yes, 8.
And bringing him to 14-5 overall and 7-0 on the Mortis. So as you just discussed, you would be a damn fool not to be betting that Mortis by now. The man has proven it. I said week 1. Go back and look at the very end of the episode before Than gave his Mortis. I said this is the one you want to pay attention to on the entire pod, and it's 7-0.
And it's 7-0. And let's remember, everybody, on the Mortis, you are putting 3 units or more, if I say 3 units on the Mortis every time. So while the record's 14-5, if we're talking units, you're putting more on the Mortis, you should be up more than just 14-5. Just keep that in mind. The units are higher for the Mortis.
Oh, yeah, I'm dumb rich now. I'm dumb rich. I was slinging my money around this past weekend because money doesn't matter when you listen to the pod, and Beer, you found out after hitting the Mortis this week.
Oh yeah, I'm never not doing that again.
Right.
So I want the listeners to get to know you a little better because we obviously know you. So why don't you give just a real short betting history, what you think you're good at, and I guess what your favorite part about putting some money down on games is.
For sure. So I started gambling. Would have been my senior year. I had a bookie friend.
Of
So
high
what's that?
school or, sorry,
The
of
bookie?
college? Senior year of college.
Senior of college.
Okay.
Oh, not high
So
school.
what,
Okay,
3 years in the biz?
Yeah, I'm about 3-4 years deep in the biz.
Yeah.
Success-wise, like everyone else, not the greatest until, we got more in depth with it. We talked a lot. There were some models that were made at one time.
Yep.
I did have a decently successful model. However, it is a lot of work to keep up, and every year you have to make a new one. I just didn't have the time.
That model was good, by the way. It hit.
Yeah.
The hit rate was actually impressive.
It was actually
Yeah, sidebar on that. Models are so much fun for a second. Like, you love putting them together. I put one together and Beers put one together now. Mine was NBA focused. He had an NFL one before. You're sitting there and you don't want to do anything else. You're glued to your computer. You put it together. You work on it. You have a good week or so, and then it's like, this sucks. It is so much work.
The fun part is making it, testing it out, and realizing you got something, and then the first week you use it and you actually hit on it.
And telling everyone that you have one.
Totally.
Hey, I got a new model. You guys got to try it out.
Totally. Every time I text you guys about it, I would feel so cool. Yeah. Like I felt like I actually finally did something with my life. And then the hard part is having to update it week after week after week.
Yeah.
It just gets annoying because you have to input all. I mean, I would go to Pro Football focus.
Yeah.
And then I would literally just copy and paste all the data, delete all the columns that I needed. Like it would take like an hour.
Yeah.
And
that's a
luckily
lot.
I had a job where I could spend 2 hours a day working on it during the work hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what my skills? I don't know if I got skills. I like to trust my gut, but my gut's like 35%.
Yeah, we talk about. Are we going to talk about his gut a little bit today, Ty? With the
Yeah, we're gonna get into all things revolving around our guest. Multiple times throughout this pod, we're happy to have you. Happy to see what you contribute. And Than, he's gonna give picks. If he goes 3-0, then we'll guarantee that you are our first guest and our second guest.
Okay, deal.
No one else comes back. If you lose one, which everyone loses some, that's fine. It's just you're gonna have to wait a little longer, I think. But
That's tough. I think I got 3 good ones this week.
yeah, and I'll tail them. Will you tail them, Profits?
yeah, I'll tell him. Yeah, if you're on the podcast, I feel like
I appreciate
beer
that.
your picks. I respect your picks. Although we do have a dark history of tailing picks, like me tailing your picks. Not WWE.
The UFC. Oh yeah. How did I neglect to mention that? Yeah, the cleanse.
Yeah. We are gonna get into that, I believe. We have a video. We still have the video of the cleanse. So, Ty, is now a good time to get into that?
Yeah, we might as well. It was kind of funny. A listener sent in a question, and so I guess we'll just start with listener questions today. Again, thanks for all your questions. We get a ton pouring in, but this one we got a couple weeks back after week 2, I believe, and I decided to save it for when we had our first guest. The question is, hey, I'm on a losing streak right now, and the only thing keeping me afloat is the podcast. Any suggestions on how to flip my luck? Have you tried anything in the past? So we'll start with you, Nicholas. Have you tried anything to flip your luck?
Oh yeah, I tried to. Yeah, so I decided to beat my bad streak. I need to have like an exorcism.
Yeah.
I needed to flush the demons out and, bring a whole new energy and a whole new vibe. There's a long history of me believing that waterboarding is a fake form of torture. I don't know about any of you, but I never thought that was a real.
It's fake.
I thought that was just a movie thing. So then in college, I had you and some other roommates waterboard me just to see what it was like.
I'm not kidding when I say he lasted half a second. That water touched his face and he sat up. It was shocking how quick he was done. He's like, oh yeah, that's real.
I was shocked. So I thought, that's the perfect thing to do, to exercise those demons, get them out of my system, and start a new clean slate. The problem is the bets that I made that day were pretty forced. I wasn't totally confident on any of them, really. We'll get into it. I wouldn't say I wasn't confident. I was confident about the O'Malley one.
Yeah, you were.
Well, let's set the scene a little prior. So
Yeah.
we're good friends. We were aware of the cold streak he was going through. We had a boys' weekend coming up. Than and I were texting, how do we get this man right? We took it into our own hands. So we wrote up this nice little monologue, out to the gambling gods. We were asking for forgiveness on the past. We were pleading, asking anything for some help. So Beer laying down on a tube, towel over his face, read this long monologue, and then just start waterboarding him with the hose. I mean, it was on. We're gonna put the video in, but the thing was on jet. I mean, it was going right in his face. It like pelted his face, and
it was in broad daylight in a lake community in the middle of Wisconsin.
Yeah, the idea was basically we are waterboarding you, and you have to go in with nothing in your head, and you got to come out of this, and you're gonna see something. So get into kind of what you saw and how that went down for you.
Yeah, so there was a big UFC card that night. It was the Cormier Stipe Miocic 3. Now this was during COVID just started, so this was at the Apex, no fans, no nothing. And I'm a huge Daniel Cormier fan. He's my favorite UFC fighter of all time.
Yeah.
and it was his retirement match too.
Yep.
So I wanted to put some money on something with the UFC event, and plus it was COVID. There was no sporting events going on, so I knew the fight. Was going. I didn't know. I had a gut feeling. Trust my gut. I had a gut feeling that it was going to go to decision. Both fights previous ended by knockout or TKO. I thought both were know that now, going to be a little hesitant, feel each other out. So I had a good chance that it was going to go to decision, but I didn't know who I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So I knew I didn't. So besides knowing that I was having the feeling I was going to go to decision, I was going to purely let a name come out of my mouth when I took the towel off.
Which was the idea. It was basically
which was the total idea.
No thought process going into it. Simply just like letting the waterboarding almost give you a vision, and then coming out of it, the guys just gave you a new bet. You know.
Yep. And the O'Malley one, that was.
I'll never forget what you said there.
That one I had no thought. I had no thought before that. That one literally was the water. That was the waterboarding.
Yeah.
That was it coming out of me.
Well, so
There was no thought before that one.
the first one, like he's talking about with going to decision with Cormier, we pulled the towel off and he says Cormier decision. We thought he needed to give us some more, so the towel went back on.
Yes, he did.
He really needed to think about things under there. So he is getting waterboarded again a little bit. Pull the towel, and Than, give me your impersonation.
He pulls the towel off. He goes, Sean O'Malley by knockout.
Are you sticking with that?
Sean O'Malley by knockout.
And everyone, oh, let's go.
I think we absolutely hammered this one.
Oh, we had everyone who was there. Well, most people who were there were on both of them, but that O'Malley one, everyone believed.
Yeah, by knockout.
It really seemed like something came over beer.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was what we tried to change the luck with. And fast forward to how it kind of went. Cormier went to decision, lost in decision. Sean O'Malley undefeated before this. I believe first round, correct?
Ankle. Yeah, he broke his ankle.
Yep,
Yeah.
stepping back, ankle snaps. So 2 losses. So to get back to the listener question, we have tried things in the past, that being an extreme example. It didn't work. So what you're really going to want to do here is just be better and maybe just make picks for fun in your head, or write down a little notebook your picks, but put nothing on it, like a couple thoughts, and then just blindly bet our picks, because we'll make back your money, and then once we get you back to even, you can try again.
Take our picks, and just do a little bit more analysis. You know, look at the numbers a little harder, see where the trends are, watch the line movements, look at the odds, the movement of the odds, and just do a little more research.
You know, there's a lot of things in life that you can be embarrassed about, or that are embarrassing that happen to you, but having 8 of your best friends follow your picks that you're so confident on, and then they both fail, and then you have to spend the night with them, that's tough.
Nothing worse.
That's tough.
That's
real tough.
You just lost all your dogs some money, and you got waterboarded.
Lost the pimp some money. There's nothing worse than that.
Hey, we still love you, beer.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we all the story may be a refresher, but it was a good time all around. And that's what this is. It's a good time. We make you money. If you're losing money, take a break for a sec. That's the suggestion. And then tail our picks, and we'll make you money.
Stop taking your own picks and just take ours.
Take a month off. Put more money in your bank account. Let that coop, and then you'll forget about all the money you lost previous, and then it's just a clean slate.
And then the money you recoup, put it all on Than's Mortis, double it. We're back.
Yep.
So let's get into week 5. One game I want to talk about, 2 teams. There's a lot to look through. Now you have a small sample size, I suppose, that is maybe more reliable. You have a variety of games going on through 4 weeks. So we are now at week 5. I wanted to touch on the Ravens and the Bills, that game that happened. And one stat I wanted to read you guys on the Ravens before we get into them. Don't know if you guys saw this, but this is the second time the Ravens have blown a 17-point lead this season, both games being at home. The only other teams to blow more than two 17-point games in one season, an entire season, is the 2003 Falcons and 2020 Chargers blew it 3 times.
Wow.
And they've done it twice through 4 weeks. This team is exciting with Lamar, but that has to be a concern. And I'm curious, then going back to the Bills, good comeback for them. They're clearly the class of the AFC. They were everyone's pick to win the Super Bowl. They're kind of at the top of most people's AFC along with the Chiefs. I want to hear some thoughts reflecting on these two teams and who you like coming out of the AFC, maybe, if you want to go into that too. So, Dan, let's start with you. What do you got?
Yep. And I'm just going to add to the stat train. I saw a stat about the Ravens today. They have trailed in games this year only 17 seconds all year. They have trailed in games, and they're 2-2.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's one of the craziest stats I've ever seen. With that being said, I think that means to me that the Ravens are better than 2-2. Lamar Jackson's playing at a super high level. I like both of these teams. I think to come out of the AFC, I would still say, like, I have a hard time betting against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like, he's the best player in
Got that jersey
all
on.
of the NFL. Yeah, I got that jersey on. But Lamar Jackson's one of those guys who can walk into any game and win it on his own.
Yeah.
And so that's why coming into a game against the Ravens, like whoever they're playing, I'm like, Lamar could win this game. So if we fast forward to playoffs, I think Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, boy, I mean, I would probably give the upper hand to the Bills just because they're a more complete team, but the Ravens are right there. The Chiefs are right there. I love what they have going on. They have momentum. One thing that I think is really hard is how good the Bills are playing right now. Like, how often do we see a team play that well the whole year? You know? So they're going to hit a cold streak. It's just, can they be hot by the time they hit the playoffs? The biggest thing with the playoffs is who's playing the best football at that time. So in terms of rosters, though, I give the Bills the nod, which is not that far out on a limb, but yeah, I'll go Bills.
Beer, any thoughts? And maybe, since you're making a system guy, dive into the numbers, the analytics on going for it there. Any thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, you want to have that conversation? We haven't heard that enough on ESPN yet this week.
Well,
but,
I actually, the reason I want to talk about it is because I thought it was the right decision.
I agree with you completely.
And I feel like everyone
to go for it.
Yeah,
totally.
I think most everyone said that it was wrong. So I guess that's why I think it's interesting. If we're just going to hear that we all thought it was wrong, yeah, it's boring. But I thought it was right.
No, I would do that every time.
All right.
I don't know if I would do that play call. What is it? Your 4th and goal on the 2?
I think it was like the 4 at this point.
It was a 4. Yeah, so then maybe that's the case. But I don't know. Like the Bills had a very similar start to the season last year. I believe it was on week 3 or 4 that they had a huge loss to a bad team, and we were like, who are the Bills? And then they kind of they figured it out, and then by the end of the year, they were arguably the better team than the Chiefs, and the Chiefs ended up going to the Super Bowl. So I don't think there's anything to worry about with the Bills. I think the Bills are the Bills. Ravens, on the other hand, it's not an offensive issue. It's a defensive issue for them. I know they're banged up in their secondary now and on their D-line. And, it's been pretty obvious that they can't protect leads. I had Ravens +3 last week. I don't know if anyone else here did.
I had a 3.5.
You had 3.5.
Bless up.
Good for you. When did you take that line?
Maybe a little earlier in the week, maybe like Thursday. I put a lot in early last week, which I had Chiefs -2.5, and they got down to a pick 'em, and then I think closed back towards 2. So sometimes it's tough to do that, but for whatever reason last week I decided to put them all in early. So
no, good for you. Because then there's a whole other debate about that end of the game was, do you let them score that touchdown, the Bills, and then give yourself a minute and some change to go down the field and try to match that? I was very happy with how John Harbaugh played it, because a push is better than a loss. But I think for the Ravens, I don't even know if I think they're the best team in their division. I know Cincinnati's struggling, but I just they revamped that O-line. I know they haven't played like that, but like the guys that they got are like solidified players in the league who like have a track record of being competent and good. So I feel like they they would be able to figure it out unless the coaching's just that bad. Which, depending on your views of Zach Taylor, who knows what you think. But I mean, I honestly, I think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC. I think the Chiefs are better than the Bills.
The Chiefs are tough. The roster for the Bills is impressive, but there's something about having Patrick Mahomes on your side. Did you see some of those plays he was making on Sunday?
Yeah, it's insane.
He's like an acro. Like, there's nobody in the history of the game's played the game as freely as he does. It's just he does whatever he wants.
Maybe Brett Favre.
Yeah,
maybe.
Brett Favre pops in my head, but you obviously then
different.
say, Mahomes is playing it freely with less mistakes, and that's
Completely.
what makes it so crazy too.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I'm gonna agree with Birnbaum. I'm going Chiefs, and the reason being, the Bills, the secondary injuries. I think because most of those are year injuries, so they got rookies back there, and I just think once it gets to the AFC Championship and you go against Patrick Mahomes, I think that's where I see it going. They gave up only 20 points to the Ravens and 19 to the Dolphins in the past 2 weeks, so that is good out of their defense, but I would say Tua and Lamar, to me, aren't quarterbacks that are at the level of Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, where when it gets down to you have the game plan in the playoffs and it's so thought out, and then seeing things on the field and calling those audibles and all that kind of stuff, I just think you're going to run into Mahomes and he's going to be able to pick on the rookies. So I'd go Chiefs, but that game was crazy. I mean, as a Ravens bettor yourself as well, it seemed what a win. Up 17 points, crazy at home.
Yeah.
No way they come back, and sure enough, they just do. So
Yeah, it was crazy. I also think just Kansas City's coaching is better. Like I really like Andy Reid. Andy Reid is a guy he's been to like 6 NFC championship games.
He's insane. Did you see some of those play designs on Sunday?
He's a genius.
Some of the craziest misdirections and Mahomes is the perfect man to do all of that, but they just make a great little couple.
And they get totally
great couple.
And I'm sure Eric Bellamy has a bunch to do with that as well. But also the Chiefs just have like so many guys. I mean, I know they're not obviously like the Pet to Travis Kelce thing. Like that's a connection that's unbeatable.
Yeah,
they're gonna get theirs. But like Juju, MVS, Coleman or Hardman, excuse me. Like they just have guys. They might not be great guys, but they got guys that have like been there and done that. And even in that backfield between Hyde, I'm blanking on the other guy's name.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, now that rookie
and then that
Pacheco,
and they get them all involved, and that's what makes him dangerous. Is Pat's good enough where he can get it to everyone.
He spreads it.
Like he doesn't rely on one guy.
He has the most touchdowns, like most people to receive a touchdown this year, and MVS still hasn't caught one. I know, and he already is at the most. So.
And
they spread it around.
Yeah, they definitely do. And I feel like the Bills are their offense seems to be a little different without Gabe Davis. Like just to having a reliable number 2 gives pressure off Diggs.
Yeah, it's big.
He's a big body. He's a completely different receiver than Diggs is.
Guess how old Gabe Davis is?
I have no idea how long.
Isn't it only his like third year in the league?
I just want you to guess how old.
I'll guess he's 27.
I'm gonna say 20. I'm gonna say 25.
I was thinking 27 as well. He's 23 years old.
Wow.
I was looking today, scrolling through fantasy stuff, and Sleeper has like their ages on there and NFL experience and stuff, and it said 23, and I just couldn't believe it.
I had no idea. I didn't know him in college, so I just like as a pro is the only time I've known him.
He came on the scene last year in the playoffs, but to me it was just a guy who was just finding his way finally caught his break.
Yeah,
but no, it was like that was probably his rookie year or second year last year. So it's dumb, but
good enough.
Also, do you think the Bills like Singletary, Moss, Cook, like that running back? Nothing about them are then that dynamic to me.
Well, maybe that's part of the reason that they're like. You see how the Chiefs really had a nice run game on Sunday? Like they will at times just like pound the rock a little bit. The Bills don't even try to run the ball. Like you kind of know they're gonna pass. Like you just know. So I feel like they are obviously very one dimensional. Maybe If I was calling plays, since I know so much more than all these NFL coordinators, of
course.
maybe get the run game a little involved. Something. Yeah, it's interesting. They don't even try to run the ball.
Because I also feel like they really let Josh run, and he doesn't slide or nothing. I mean, he's a big boy; he can take it, but
He's like farmer
Still.
strong. Like he is just compact for as big as he's big.
for how strong of an arm he is, and you would think they would try to have the run game complement that more than just
Yeah.
have him do it all.
Should have also mentioned in your introduction that you are a coach. You've been coming on the scene very quickly. 3 big time promotions or 2 big promotions in your 3rd year now. So you see the game in a different light. So keep that in mind when you're gambling. This guy really sees the ins and outs.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
X's and O's.
Last thing I want to say about those teams is I'm just going to make a prediction here that no one's going to remember and I'll never get fact checked on. I think Isaiah McKenzie is the X factor on the Bills.
McKenzie, yeah, he's almost like filling in.
I see him in the playoffs like leading their team in touchdowns. Like that's just how I just see him being like the name that just like what the like,
Just
what-
randomly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dan, I'd like you to introduce this next segment as you always do so well.
Blindside beer. First time. What's up, baby? Let's hear it, beer. Hello. Hit him with the blind side. Say it. Oh, blind side. With a little bit of like rasp to it. Good beer.
That sounded sexy.
Yeah.
Wait. One more time, beer. Say it.
Got him.
Rookie in the studio.
Got him.
All right. Blindside today. Interesting. I want to hear your thoughts on we have a top heavy league. And then usually there's a team that's so obviously the worst. This year I think it's interesting because the teams that are so typically the worst teams in the league just aren't necessarily all the worst because you always point to Jacksonville. They're not in bottom 5 anymore. You point to the Browns a lot. They've been impressive so far with their backup quarterback. So what I pulled here is 9 teams whose win total is under 7 games. I guess I want to hear who you think the 5 worst teams in the NFL are right now. So you guys can't see the records. I have the records in front of me. Just kind of impulse because, again, you have teams that are usually the worst. Some of those are still there. Some aren't anymore. It's a rotation in this league this year. So if you had to say who you think are the 5 worst teams in the league, who would you go with?
Can you read the list of the 9 teams?
First, I want to hear. I will.
I'll go first so you can think.
Okay.
Okay. So the 5 words, no particular order.
All right.
Panthers.
Okay.
I think this. Fuck. See, you're only 4 games in. It's tough. I guess Houston, but again, I don't even think Houston's that bad. Shit, probably the Steelers, especially without TJ and now rookie quarterback. I don't want to say Bears.
I do.
2-2. 2-2.
They're horrible.
But they can't throw the ball. And now we got Mooney futures for 1,000 yards a season. He's gonna get.
He had a little bit of a game.
He
last
did have a game. He did have a
He
game.
did.
Finally.
Yeah, it's about
Bounce
time.
back.
He
He's
had
bounced back.
94 yards last week, and now his season total is 112.
He's
probably.
back.
All right, Beer, I'll take those 3 from you. Than, any others that pop into your head, and then I'll read the 9, and then we can kind of discuss from there with their win totals.
I might.
Yeah, just from watching games, I was one team that really bounced out to me was the Panthers as well. Baker Mayfield is bottom 1 quarterback in the league, in my opinion. He is so bad. It pains me so bad because I have McCaffrey in the league. It's so bad. He's terrible. I would say Panthers are up there for worst in the league. One team Beard did not mention, I think, is probably the Falcons, who I know have given some people fits, but you want to talk about like a roster that really doesn't seem to be going anywhere right now. Like, it's not like Mariota's doing anything. It's not like Cordell Patterson's old. Like, do they really have any young guys besides their 2, like Drake London and Kyle Pitts?
Who they're
Like-
not even using.
who they're not really using. Like their trajectory is just it's bad. So I'll say Falcons are in there as well. But I do like the Panthers pick. It's weird to hear the Steelers being thrown around in this conversation because Mike Tomlin is like consistently at 500 or above.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's an insanely good coach. But with what they have going on right now, they're not great.
What about the Saints?
The Saints,
Especially if Kamara can't get healthy.
Kamara's been bad. Chris Olave is a
He's
dog,
been good.
actually. And Michael Thomas. I'm not quite going to say the Saints because their defense is still okay.
Chris Olave, who I picked as offensive rookie of the year, week 1 on the
You
pod, plus
did,
900.
future. And
Attaboy.
the updated odds on that, I think he's like plus 250 right now, tied.
Not surprised.
Not surprised. Zero surprise.
That's really good. That's enough to. You don't even have to win that bet. You already won that.
Yeah, all right. That's one of those you just get to talk about now. So here's what I'm going to do. There's 9 teams under 7, 6 teams under 6. Houston Texans are 0-3-1, and their over-under on wins are 3.5. Vegas clearly has them as the worst team in the league. Also, throwback on the pod, I said I like Davis Mills. He hasn't been great this year, but I said this team was going to hit their over on wins. But I think they have the team to hit the over on wins. Don't take it, though, because Lovie Smith is their coach. I think this guy's just cheeks. He's the worst. Then all teams with their over-under at 5.5 wins. Jets, not mentioned. They're 2-2. So there's Vegas is saying, like, do you think they'll get 4 more wins this year? And they
I have
already
something to
two.
say about that. If Joe Flacco's at the helm, yeah, they're a good football team. I love them. If Zach Mama Lovin Wilson's at the helm, no, I don't love them. He is garbanzo beans. Give me Joe Flacco all day on the Jets. He's making those weapons better. Sorry, quick rant. Jets are bad with Zach Wilson.
So say he starts the rest of the year, then are you taking the under on 5.5? They
Zach
have 2
Wilson
right now.
starts at 5.5. I'd like to see their schedule a little bit, but we won't go that far.
Blindside.
I don't
Everyone
think-
knows not to take these.
Yeah, I don't think they have a chance against too many teams. Like, they have a chance against all the teams we're mentioning right now, but I'm not, like, favoring them in many games.
Salah will take this receipt.
Yeah, well, so I do respect
I
Salah.
love Salah.
If there's one person
He's
in that
collecting
locker room-
receipts.
Yeah, Salah.
He's a good looking head coach. Dude. Like not like just see him on sidelines, little muscular build, good hoodie.
Well, I know you
He's
see
a-
him running the bleachers and everything too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He reminds me a little bit of that like crazy Marine dude that just doesn't stop running ever.
David Goggins?
David Goggins, yeah. Like he'll run and then he just won't stop. Like he's probably running right now. You know?
Rounded out, we got Seahawks, also 2-2.
Oh yeah, the
No,
team that I hate.
Low key, I think Seahawks might be
Yeah.
pretty solid. I
They-
think Chino's actually not bad.
Top 10 fantasy quarterback. He's actually surprised me. So yeah,
It's
I won't
actually
take it.
impressive.
Yeah.
Steelers, 5.5. They're 1-3. Made the quarterback change.
Good call, beer.
So they're at, well, actually, I take it back. Bears, 5.5. They're 2-2. And then Panthers, 5.5. They're 1-3. So interesting thing. 1, 2, 3. 3 of the teams whose over/under is 5.5 in here already have 2 wins. So that's kind of interesting,
Yeah.
I think,
That
because
is
again,
interesting.
there's only one team that's still winless in the league, and then you have a few teams with 1 win. I don't think the Steelers are on the same level as a team like the Panthers. I think the Bears are worse than a 2-win team, and so I think my 3 worst teams in the league to me are Texans, Bears, Panthers. That's what I would say are my 3
I
worst.
think that's fair. I would gladly take that Seattle.
A lot of people also think Commanders are one of the worst teams in the league, and their over/unders at 6, and they're 1-3 right now.
That's a
They're
good
also
call.
bad.
They're-
Carson Wentz is not. The last 2 weeks he's been dog water, and the first 2 weeks he was good, but his real colors are coming out.
So to round this out, I guess we have Texans 3.5, Jets, Seahawks, Steelers, Bears, Panthers 5.5, Commanders 6, Lions 6.5, Falcons 6.5. Those are who Vegas says are the worst 9 teams in the league. Give me one of those teams that has a chance, any sort of chance, best chance of finishing 9-8, above 500.
That's easy.
Can you read those one more time? Sorry.
Texans, Jets, Seahawks, Steelers, Bears, Panthers, Commanders, Lions, Falcons.
I'm gonna say
There's 2 for me.
yeah. There's 2 for me too. It's the Lions or I'm forgetting who are yours, Beer.
Mine would be the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks. because the reason why Seattle Seahawks, I don't think that division's all that good this year. I think Cardinals might actually be the worst team in that division record-wise, maybe not talent-wise, but with how they're playing, I think how they play right now is gross.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think they could definitely still win from there. I think the Rams are gonna. I don't even know. I would love to see what the odds are for the Rams to not make the playoffs, because I just feel like they don't look inspired. Like last year, they had a definite edge, especially Stafford, because he was out to prove something. Mm-hmm. Now he proved it. He's a little banged up. They didn't really add anyone. They actually took away their number 2 wide receiver, who was very, very crucial to their offense, thinking that they can supplement him with Allen Robinson, who doesn't even get looked at in the offense.
Yeah.
They have some O-line injuries now. They're on their 3rd-string center. And no. It was their starting guard went to center, who's now injured. So now they're playing with a backup guard and a backup center. And their defense is just, they haven't done anything impressive.
Yeah. They're always so interesting to me. Like they have the potential to do what they did last year, and then they just sometimes they just shit the bed. But
and it doesn't help because Aaron Donald was thinking about retirement in the offseason. Actually had the letter written out, and the Rams just never mailed it in because they wanted to talk him out of it. McVay was thinking about retirement all offseason.
What is that?
It's
Retire at 38.
Yeah, no shit.
McVay, I got my all NFL cornball list. McVay, he's not a player, but I'll put him in my top 5.
Cornball.
Absolute cornball. For me, it's an easy pick. I guess I would say the Lions and this team are the easiest pick on here because they have the highest over-under. It's the Falcons. That division is so bad. You get to play the Panthers twice. You get to play the Saints twice. You get to play a Tom Brady team that, you can't deny they're good, but could they get the one that's in Atlanta? Because, that team, question marks all over it. Divorce and all that shit. That's actually, it's kind of wild.
That's real that's real life shit.
Yes, and I don't know. I think
they play them this week.
Them. Yeah, so to me, it's the Falcons. I think they're the best team in this grouping. I'm taking their over 6.5.
I think that's a pretty solid call, I think. Can I just go on a quick Lions tangent?
Quick.
I'll make it
worst
super
defense
quick.
in the league.
I'll just make it, no, worst defense ever. It's fucking pitiful. So there's been 30 teams in NFL history. Yeah, let's talk stats. There's been 30 teams in NFL history to start the first 4 games of the season with over 140 points. So what is that per game? That's 35 points a game.
Yeah.
Out of those 30 teams, 2 teams were not above 500. One of the teams that was not above 500 was 2-2. So the Lions are the only team out of these 30 teams to have a losing record while scoring 140 more points in 4 games. That is the epitome of pathetic, and that is the epitome of being a Detroit Lions fan, is you just live in misery even when you're good. We have the best offense in football. Look, if you don't want to say that, fine. We have a top 5 offense in football, and we can't fucking win a game.
Yeah.
It's sad. And Goff's playing well, too. It is.
Talk about how much your coach must suck then.
No, stop that. I love Danny Boy. Danny Boy Campbell. No, see, here's the thing.
Isn't he, all heart, go out there, go get them, get those boys believing, fired up, and you have a defense that does that?
No, completely.
No backbone.
I think the thing with Dan is I don't know if he's the guy to take us to a championship in the next 5 years.
Got to turn it around, though.
But he is a guy that needed to lay a much-needed foundation on a franchise that has been shit since the 90s. I whether he does what I originally thought he could do, but as long as he just keeps laying this foundation and this culture, by the time he leaves, we would be smart to bring in a more X and O's focused coach.
Yeah.
And I think that's all you need.
Good ramp here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beer.
I appreciate the time.
Yep.
All right, everyone's favorite part of the episode where we give you winners.
Winners.
Than, what are you on Mortis this year?
7-0.
Than, what'd you go last week?
6-0 on everything.
Than, you're really, really good at this, so why don't you tell me what your combination lock is this week?
For the second week in a row, AJ Brown gets the nod on the lock. Yes, sir. AJ Brown had a kid last week. It was clear on the field. And you know what else is stupid? I have him in my fantasy team. He scored a touchdown last week and it got called back. I'm the king of guys on my fantasy team scoring and getting called back, but whatever. Yeah, so AJ Brown, over 73.5 yards. Jalen Hurts' favorite target. This dude's money. This dude, if you don't have him in a fantasy league, trade for him. He's a league winner. Because his value right now is still fairly low. He's only scored 1 touchdown in the first 4 games, and he gets a lot of action. They scheme him the ball. AJ Brown over 73.5. Continue to take AJ Brown stuff. This week, it's the combo.
Beer, we're going to let you go next here. No pressure. 3-0 brings you back. What do you got?
Ooh, that gives me a lot of anxiety, but because I want to be back. But my combo will be the Seattle Seahawks plus 5.5. They are 5.5 point underdogs to the New Orleans Saints, who I've just a couple minutes ago said that I think suck. And I think the Seahawks are actually a pretty decent team. I think 5.5 is way too many points. I would almost.
Where's the game at?
It's in New Orleans,
Okay.
but that doesn't bother me because it's either going to be Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton playing quarterback. Kamara's not playing.
For sure, he's not playing. He might not play.
I don't think he practiced today.
Didn't he? I need to be following that.
I don't think he practices. I don't think he practiced today.
Rib
Bad
dysfunction.
fantasy GM over there.
Rib dysfunction. He'll be fine. He's playing. But I don't know if that even changes the line if he plays. He's been dog water even when he plays.
Yeah. So that's my philosophy. I don't think it is in New Orleans. I don't personally think that matters all that much. It's not Sean Payton or Drew Brees anymore. It's Andy Dalton and Dennis Allen. I'm not afraid of that.
You see the tweet that said it looks like Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton talking on the sidelines are like 2 British cops trying to solve a case. Just watch the video. It's funny.
You can only imagine Jameis's advice in any situation.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, so this is just a pick of I think I'm much higher on Seattle than most people, and I'm much lower on New Orleans than clearly Vegas. So I think Seattle plus 5.5.
Good pick.
Good pick. I'm going to go with a lot of thought put into this. I'm going Cooper Kupp over 8.5 receptions. 19 targets last week, 14 receptions, over 13 receptions in 3 out of his 4 games. They use him and abuse him. This man is going to get taken out on a stretcher one of these weeks, so hit his over while you can.
While you can.
Cooper Kupp over 8.5 receptions. This is just kind of one, it's actually not even it was kind of crazy looking at it. The under was like minus 130 and the over was plus 110. So for whatever reason, Vegas doesn't think it's going to happen this week. I'm sharper than Vegas. Over 8.5 receptions for Cooper Kupp this week.
Who they play the Cowboys?
Yeah,
So
Cowboys.
they think Diggs is going to lock him up?
I guess that's what they'd assume. I think his yards are an interesting play because of how much he gets used, but in my mind, I have one play where he just torches. But the play with Cooper Kupp receptions is they just try to get him this ball so many times on the line of scrimmage. And I see them going to that 2 or 3 times. Press coverage comes. It's a pump fake once, go route. I think that's going to tear him apart too. I don't know. Cooper Kupp, this one seems like why wouldn't you play it at this point until he starts to fall off a little?
Well, yeah, they'll probably screen him to death too if they can't give him the ball down the field.
Yeah, because their run game's also irrelevant.
That is the run game screens to him.
Yeah, the run game's irrelevant, and then the pass game, let's be honest, the whole pass game is Cooper Kupp. This man, Matt Stafford literally forces it into double coverage just so he can throw it to Cooper Kupp. Good pick time.
Yeah, and he has the most receptions by over 10 in the league through 4 weeks only. And actually, funny enough, if you guys want to take a look at the play, I think Tyler Higbee is like 10th in the league in receptions. So when it's not going to Cooper Kupp, yeah, Higbee's definitely like top 15, I think. So I was looking at the reception leaders today. That's what I like to look at in fantasy world. So I was eyeing up what players I may want to be targeting. Higbee's up there in receptions. Moving on to the deadbolts. I'll start us off here. I'm going to go Pat Freiermuth over 35.5 receiving yards. He's going to be an outlet this week for a Pittsburgh Steelers team that's going to get abused by the Buffalo Bills. I think that line's at 13.5, and Bills favored by 13.5. It's going to be a rough go for Kenny, his first time out there, but he likes Freiermuth as a security blanket over 35.5 receiving yards. I think he'll hit that. I don't know how much stuff they're going to put together, but that one I think is going to go.
I like that, Ty. All right.
Then, take him away. Go with another.
Yep. So moving on to my deadbolt. Beer, what jersey am I wearing right now?
That is a Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. So Patrick Mahomes is back as the best player in the world. Not that we necessarily second guessed it, but Josh Allen got a lot of love in the first few weeks, deservedly so. Patrick Mahomes just does things that no one else ever has. He just showed last week how hot he's about to get. I'm riding the wave. Patrick Mahomes over 265.5 passing yards. Beer, I feel like you think this one's a little low.
Totally. I think this is a great bet.
Yeah, a little low. So Pat over 265. Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes are rolling right now. Let's keep it going with
Who
the
do they
deadbolt.
play?
Couldn't even tell you.
They play the Raiders on Sunday Night Football.
That's right.
It's going to be, the final score is going to be 38-31. Patrick Mahomes going to have 410 yards.
The one thing that scares me is how much they really pounded the rock pretty well last week. So I'm like, okay, are they going to try to go through like a phase where they just really establish the run game? But I'm not too worried. Even when they try to establish the run game, they still toss it a ton. So
Yeah.
Mahomes.
I love that pick. My deadbolt is San Francisco minus 6.5 on the road against the Carolina Panthers, who we just all agreed was the worst team in the league. I have a future out on San Francisco to win their division. So I clearly think very highly of this team. I think Jimmy G back makes them just better and makes them the team that they were last year. Yes.
Did you place that future before the season?
Yes, I did.
So you believed in Trey Lance?
Well,
I'm not hating on the pick because now it's cool, but
I placed it right after they re-signed Jimmy G.
The truth comes out.
Because
There it is.
I thought if he wasn't good, they would move to Jimmy quickly.
the listeners are gonna like to hear that. They are gonna like hearing that's when you place that. Because if you place that with Trey Lance, that'd be like placing for Justin Fields or something. So
Yeah, and like I also said, I think that division sucks. Not sucks, but I don't think it's as good as it was last year. I think San Francisco's I think they're just the same team that they were last year, and then the same team that they were 3 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. I think 6.5 under a touchdown. That's big time. I think they probably win by 10. They have a very solid defense. Baker Mayfield sucks, and they have an explosive offense. And this will be Jimmy G's now third game back. So remember, he didn't really have a training camp. He didn't have a preseason. His first game was a little iffy. He looked much better last week. This week, I think he's, only going to get better. I like San Francisco. Minus 6.5.
I'm gonna sneak in another pick here. It is not a lock, but we're gonna talk about this game a little bit more. It is an official pick, so you'll see it in the records next week. Baker Mayfield under 190.5 pass yards. What I wanted to bring up to kind of piggyback on what you got going here, Beer, a mini sort of rivalry between Baker and Joey Bosa. Oklahoma, Ohio State in college. Baker Mayfield plants the flag. Bosa doesn't like that. Bosa sacked Baker last year, planted a flag in celebration. There's something there. Bosa had a crazy week last week. I like them to just be all up in Baker Mayfield's head this week, just abusing him. Under 190.5 pass yards. Do not be surprised if Baker leaves the game injured or pulled for PJ Walker. Easy pick, Beer, minus 6.5. Easy pick. 190.5 pass yards. That's pretty low.
That's super low. That is so low.
That one, that's a fun one. I like plays like that. It's fun. You're just sitting there. I haven't gone to one this low. I've had
Matt Ryan?
Yeah, I've had 3 quarterback unders this year on pass yards so far, and they've all hit Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. It's always fun because you're just rooting for incompletions all day.
That's a tough way to root for football.
Yeah, it is, but it can be fun because you're invested in every play when you have overs and stuff because you want him to target stuff. When it's a quarterback and you go with his under, it's super fun because he touches the ball every play, and that just makes you like lock in so much for it.
You like hold your breath every play.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Run ball, like run it.
Well, and that's why we gamble.
Yeah, and
for that energy that you get from watching each.
I
play.
encourage the listeners to give that a try. Pick a quarterback this week and bet they're under and see what happens. You're going to enjoy it. If it's a game you're watching, that's what makes it really fun. And so finally we get to the Mortis here. I think it's only right Than goes last. So, Beer, start us off.
Sure thing. So my Mortis is actually in the Sunday night game. I am going with Cincinnati Bengals +3 on the road to the Ravens. Here's why I like this. For one, I do not think the Bengals, their start to the season is not reflective of the team that they are and the team that they will be. I think that, like I said previously, I think their offensive line will continue to get better. Higgins, Chase, Boyd, that is quite the wide receiver grouping there. You also have Mixon in the backfield, which, there's people have their thoughts on Mixon. Some people like him. Some people don't. I, for one, am a fan, and I also love Joe Burrow. Ravens got a beat-up secondary and a beat-up defensive line. I think that Cincinnati is the better team than the Ravens. I think the Ravens, coming off of a deflating defeat the week before against a Bills team, especially with the lead, is going to play a factor in this game. Also, Cincinnati played a Thursday night game. Now they're playing a Sunday night game. Extra rest. I like Cincinnati +3. I honestly like them outright. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I could see the Ravens winning this game, but I don't see it being more than 3. If it was +2.5, maybe a little different story. But at 3, or some people got it at 3.5 early in the week, I think that's a lock. I think Cincinnati wins outright personally.
Let me ask you a question here. So I think there's gamblers out there who go along the line of thought that if you look at a line, it's indicative of where the game is. And then if you look at the flip of if the team is home and away, would you like that? And then that can stand out. I've heard 3 and I've heard 6, so it obviously goes hard each way. That's a pretty big swing each way. But the idea thinking, if this game was in Cincinnati, some people believe that the 3-point swing makes it an even pick game. So if you're thinking, if you were to see that line in Cincinnati as a pick 'em, and you really like him winning there, it's kind of like then you in theory would really like him on the road too. I've heard people talk about it. I don't know that it's the most successful thing in the world, but I do like to kind of look, if this was at home and we flip it by like 3 to 6 points, does that line pop to me? Because then it's like, all right, let's reverse the thought then.
Yeah, if I saw Cincinnati at home against the Ravens on a Sunday night as a pick 'em, I would think, holy shit, I'm getting like two or three free points.
Yeah, so something interesting. I like that pick too. I'm going. This pick is a homer pick. I said I wasn't going to do anything with the Packers anymore this year, but whatever. I'll do it. My Mortis is Allen Lazard over 46.5 receiving yards. I think this New York Giants team hasn't played anyone, and they're second-ranked defense against the pass currently. But again, I don't think they've played shit. So I like the Packers to kind of pick them apart in this game. And I mean, Dobbs is good. I think he's going to be really good. To me, there's no reason Dobbs over under receiving yards should be 10 yards higher than Lazard's, which is what it is right now, because I think Lazard's still wide receiver 1. I like the fact that Dobbs is going to get some eyes now. I like the fact that it's not so obvious that we are only a one-trick pony at wide receiver, so that opens things up for Lazard. 46.5, he can do this on 2 catches because they love that go route along the sideline. Rodgers hits him on that once a game. So
yeah,
this line is very low to me. I think the Packers offense is going to continue to figure things out. They're running the ball really well. The pass game's going to come along. So get these lines while they're low. Lazard over 46.5. Now, Tham, before you give your Mortis, I want to say one thing.
Okay.
We asked one thing of the people last week, and this week I have a challenge for the people. Get this video to 100 views. Share it, 100 views. I will pick one person in the comments randomly, and we will be putting down a free play $25 bet for you on Than's Mortis this week. Get us to 100 views. One person gets a free $25 bet on Than's Mortis. So you essentially get a free money.
It's free.
Like a free $23.
So far this year, the Mortis has been 1,000%.
So wait, what are you on them?
7-0.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yep, hit us with it. What do you got?
Yeah. So for the commenters, comment for this one, we're gonna go back to Fergie. Can you sing a London Bridge quick for me? Down my London Bridge, wanna go down like
London.
I don't even know if I know this song.
by Fergie,
Wanna
right?
go down.
Wanna go down Drake London over 52.
Oh God, I really. Let's restart that. Wait. I think there's something on here.
Wanna go down my Drake London Bridge. Wanna go down like
London. Wanna go down like
Drake London over 52.5 receiving yards. Let's keep in mind the health of Cordell Patterson. Let's keep in mind that Drake London is hot. He's staying hot. Let's keep in mind the recent events of Poverty Boy Kyle Pitts just not doing anything.
That's tough.
Anything. I have him on in every fantasy league that I own. I'm allowed to insult him because he's part of my family now because I drafted him in every league. So Drake London, I hope Kyle Pitts and Drake London go over 52.5. But this week it's want to go down my Drake London Bridge over 52.5 yards. That's my Mortis. Comment. Just so we're clear, you guys can comment and you don't have to do anything. If you comment and you get picked, you will be, all we have to do is get your Venmo, and if it hits, you will be getting the $25 free play if Drake London hits. Good luck to everybody. Drake London over 52.5. Love it.
get us to 100 views. It's not hard. We've been over 80 before, so let's get it to 100. Beer, we had a lot of fun. Appreciate you coming on this week. We got something special to play us out. So any last thoughts before we shut down week 5 of Profits?
No, thank you guys for having me. This was a whole lot of fun. I could do this all night. This is great.
Yeah, no, just to reiterate, Ty, Beer coming on. It's been a long time coming. Beer's a big podcast guy.
He's 4 weeks in the making.
Yeah, he's a big podcast guy. He's a big football guy. He is a big better guy, and overall, he's a big friend. We love him, and thanks for coming on, Beer.
Thank you. Ooh, can I give out a college football pick real quick?
What do you think?
First college football pick of all time.
Wait. Allow Than and I to talk about this.
Would that be disrespectful because we end on a Mortis? I'm sorry.
No, we'll talk about this.
What do you think?
Okay, so let's weigh the pros and cons.
Yeah.
We've never done a college football pick. What if the first ever college football pick is a loss?
That'd be tough.
On the flip side, what if we are lifetime undefeated and we can just always say we're 100% with our college football picks?
Yeah, that'd also be good. Let's let him do it.
Yeah, we'll let him do it.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I saw this stat, and I'm just gonna bet it blind because the stat's just too good. You guys heard of this college named Middle Tennessee? Middle Tennessee State?
Yeah, Middle Tennessee State, yeah.
Well, since 2020, Middle Tennessee State is 10-1-1 against the spread after a loss. They lost last week.
Wow.
I don't even know who they're playing.
Very resilient.
But I'm betting Middle Tennessee State because of that trend.
How many units?
I'll go 2.
2 units on Middle Tennessee State spread on Saturday. Book it, Nick Bierenbaum. On the way out, I mean, if it doesn't hit, then we can just say it wasn't our pick. It's just Beer's pick. The weird guest that we brought on. Who cares? It's a win-win.
That's
it's
fine.
a win-win for us.
That's fine.
But we said he had to go undefeated to come back, so did he just make it harder for himself? Or,
He kind of did.
or do we just say that one doesn't count?
We'll say that one does not count. That's just a college football bet.
All right. Everyone heard it. Middle Tennessee State, 2 units from Beer. This won't count towards his record. So if he's 3-0 on the locks, he can come back. Again, Beer, we appreciate you having you on. And if you don't mind looking down one of these cameras, take your pick.
Oh, written in the stars, a million miles away, a message to the man. Oh, seasons come and go,
Come and go.
but I will never change.
I won't change.
But I'm on my way. Oh, oh, oh.
Profits Week 5. Thank you very much.